Yay! I just finished my work week, which no one cares about. So I'm back in my park. So I recently changed my old Taranis to a new Mr. Steele Taranis, and this is kind of my second time out, because the first time I came out with the new Taranis all paired to my quads and stuff, I was all like, so I got the thing and I was all like hyped up. I'm like, yeah, it's a beautiful transmitter. It feels like a Taranis, but it's just that little bit deluxe. I love the way it feels. Love the little modifications it's got in it. I like the switches. I like pretty much everything about it. So the big thing I was curious about is, since the gimbals are different than my old Taranis, like the Mr. Steele's got these new M9 gimbals on it, and my old Taranis had the regular Taranis gimbals, which were like 2 years old or something like that, and all worn out. So I was curious kind of how it would feel in flight in terms of the new gimbals versus the old gimbals, but also, you know, how that would affect my flying. Like, would I fly different? Would I fly better? Would I fly worse? What would it look like on video? Blah, 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 blah. So I came out here to the park all happy the first time. Taranis all set up. You know, it was all working and everything. Plugged in the quad, took off my first flight, and I could barely friggin' fly my quad. It was so, like, I don't know why. I was like, my mind was blown. The quad was just flopping around and just literally doing really weird stuff. I was not expecting that from just trying out a new transmitter. Then I pretty quickly realized after a pack or two that nah, something's kind of not right. So I went home, I did a whole bunch of checking, and I made some stupid ass mistakes with my brand new out of the box Steele Taranis. So basically what I learned is, like, when you switch from one Taranis to another, it ain't that straightforward. You don't just like bind and fly away, at least not in my case. So this time I did it the right way, and I've already tested this before today, so I know it works. So here's what I did. What I did is I calibrated the Taranis on the Taranis. There's YouTube videos how to do it. I might link one up. So I calibrated the transmitter itself. Then I went into my flight controller and calibrated the range of sticks on my flight controller. So what was happening before is, like, I was going full stick, but my flight controller was basically, you know, to put it in a simple way, I was going like half stick, and my flight controller was thinking like I'm at full stick. So when I actually went full stick, it was as if I was in full stick for way too long. So the quad was just basically way overreacting and going crazy, and I didn't know what was happening. The other weird thing was my out of the box, the throttle calibration was way off. So I had to like go in the Taranis and into the channels and shift the throttle range back down to where it was, so that it would actually even arm. It wouldn't even arm at first, and that took me a while to figure out. It's because, you know, my transmitter calibration was off, and so when I had it on min throttle trying to arm it, the flight controller wasn't reading min throttle, so it wouldn't arm. So I fixed all that stuff, the basics. So I calibrated this guy, I calibrated my flight controller, you know, tested that all the throws are right. Then I came out and I flew some test packs. So after calibrating it all and testing it, came out here like twice during the week, tested all that stuff. Finally at a point where it worked great. Then the last thing I did was play with the gimbals and how the gimbal stiffness feels and all that kind of stuff. So I did that for, yeah, about a day, and I was maybe a little bit more nerdy on that stuff than I should have been, but I thought, well, why not? You know, the thing is new, and once I get it right, I can just kind of leave it like that. my previous gimbals are really loose and floppy. Okay, there's pros and cons to having stiffer gimbal sticks. So what I found is, like, I tend to like them looser because that gives you a bit more of an organic feel. But what stiffer gimbals tend to do is for me, they tended to help with smoothing out my finger inputs. So I've got like super shaky ass hands, so I don't know. I'll try and demo how shaky my finger is. When my thumb's near center stick and I'm just trying to like do little things, my thumb's always moving around and my transmitter's always reading that, and it's showing up in my quad, showing up in my video. So I switched from thumbing to, you know, pinching. But even with pinching, so with pinching I'm way more precise, way more precise. My flying got tons better, but even with pinching I find that, again, when I'm like sort of in certain places, my fingers will vibrate, and then again that shows up in the quad, shows up in the video, and it sucks. So having the sticks a little stiffer on this guy kind of helped out with that. It dampens down a few of the unwanted sort of stick movements, which is good. What I don't like is when it's too stiff. When I was flying it at first with the stock M9 gimbals, I was like, ugh! After a few flights I felt like I was really having to fight and push the quad around everywhere. I didn't quite like it. So yeah, I spent the time and I played with it. I went inside, I adjusted the little, you know, screws on the gimbals and loosened it up as much as I could, but still kept a bit of tension on the sticks, and ended up somewhere hopefully where I'm happy. All right, so yesterday when I was out flying, I think I found a setting that I like on the Taranis, but I'm out today to do a double blind test. So, you know, because you get used to stuff when you fly it quite often, or pack after pack, you're just acclimatized to anything. So end of the week I want to have a bit of fun, obviously, and yeah, I just want to see if my settings that were so nice and I was happy with yesterday are still good today. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stuck in a pack and get into some flying now. I'm thinking that was not too bad for a first pack. Normally I'm way crappier and it takes me a bit of time.
14.5 volts. 14.5.
Okay, unplug the quad. Yeah, man, I definitely feel like I got more precise control, and I definitely think that the quad is smoother. That's what I'm thinking. And definitely less jitter from the stiffer gimbals. So yeah, I mean, stuff I like about this transmitter, having flown it, is I just love how the switches feel. Like I tend to fly pin, so I'll sort of crab around here, so it's easy to arm here with the flick of my finger. Rests really nice between these two switches. I like the rubberized texture. It feels good. The whole grip tape thing actually does kind of help just prevent that little bit of slippage, so that when I center my hands, you know, I'm just a little bit more near where center should be, and I have a feeling of that. The self-centering of the gimbal also helps with that a bit, so I know where center is, because quite often I kind of lose that and my quads will sort of go all wonky and floaty, and then I'll kind of reorient myself. So I like that. I like the way the little gimbal tops feel, and you know, functionally that's kind of the only difference I think between this transmitter and other Tranises. So like these little touches of the hardware and the calibration and stuff like that, I do think that it comes together to improve my flying experience. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with purchasing the new transmitter. It works well, very happy with it. So hey, no complaints. You might not feel like spending 250 bucks. If you don't, you could probably get the Taranis Special Edition, or you could like just upgrade the gimbals on your Taranis if you like, and the switches if you like to. Nothing's stopping you. Do what you like. Personally, I like the improvement over the stock Taranis, and I'm happy with it. And I do think that it is positively impacting my flying. In retrospect, it does kind of make sense. I mean, if your control interface, meaning the interface between you and the quad, if your control interface keeps... So the way I would describe it is that, you know, I think the better... Okay, people are all hyped about tuning quads to be smooth and getting the rates right and all that, and practice as a pilot, obviously. And one thing I think it's overlooked quite a bit is tuning the interface between you and the quad. It's like quad, which the camera's on, so you got this another way. Quad, me, interface between me and quad. So getting this guy tuned up logically would, you know, it's like a relationship, something like that. Anyhow, I'm done. There's no light, and yeah, I have to like prep the quads for tomorrow. So, take it easy. Ciao.